Welcome to Delaney Diamond Presents an Author Chat, where we interview authors about their books, writing process, and personal lives. This show is sponsored by the Delaney Diamond Readers Lounge, an online community of readers where we bond over great books and support programs that promote literacy and book distribution. To join us, visit DelaneyDiamond.com and select the Readers Lounge tab.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Delaney Diamond Presents an Author Chat. I'm your host, Delaney Diamond, author of sensual and passionate romance in the contemporary romance and romantic suspense genres. Today, we're talking to D.L. White, one of my friends, author of The Never List, a contemporary romance and the June Book of the Month in my Reader's Lounge. Before we get started, I want to take a few minutes to introduce D.L. to you. D.L. is the oldest of three and grew up on various Air Force bases until her family settled in Spokane, Washington. She began pursuing a writing career in 2011 after enjoying a lifetime of reading and hobby writing. In 2015, she published Brunch at Ruby's, a contemporary fiction novel that explores the lives of three best friends and the soul food cafe at the center of their friendship. Since then, she's published 10 Black romance and women's fiction titles in ebook, print, and audio, with more to come. Her home on the web is booksbydlwhite.com. Hello, DL. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here.
It's good to have you. I'm really excited. Of course, we enjoyed reading The Never List. I thoroughly loved it, and it got rave reviews in the lounge as well. And so obviously we're going to go ahead and ask you questions about the story. But before we actually jump into the characters and the plot and all that kind of good stuff, we want to get to know you a little better.
All right.
So I'm going to ask you some questions to kick things off. And first things first, tell us how you got started in writing, specifically how you got started writing romance, because I know you read a lot. So I'm wondering why you chose romance. And is writing something that you always wanted to do?
I got started in writing really just to entertain myself. And once I realized that people enjoyed it, then it was to entertain other people. And I got started writing romance because I was reading it. I actually got started with Fanfiction, which is primarily romantic stories about people that may exist, or you like take a fictional character and flip them to your own story. I was writing real person fan fiction, so I was taking people that actually exist in their public persona and putting them in my stories. And I was writing like novel length fan fiction. So it was just getting to
What's an example of that? Sorry, you said that you were taking like real people and putting them into the
story.
story.
So One Direction fan fiction, Criminal Minds is fictional, but like real people that you put in your story. I was writing NSYNC fan fiction. So there's like B2K fan fiction out there. There's like if you like a rock band, I almost guarantee you there's a fan fiction site out there where people take the public persona and put them in their stories. And the key is to grab that characterization so well that even if your character is Zayn from One Direction, but he's a surgeon, it's Zayn from One Direction by his mannerisms or how he talks or how he runs his fingers through his hair. That kind of thing, that is the skill of fan fiction. So
wow.
I was writing like 80,000 word fan fiction stories, and my friends were like, listen, you gotta let this go. Maybe write something original. And I still still write fan fiction because it's great practice. And it's like a ready-made audience, and it's just a really great place to build your skills and build an audience. But it was kind of born out of wanting to spread my wings I was reading romance and the stories were just writing themselves in my head. And um, I I like to say that these stories just like wake me up at like
Mm-hmm.
3 in the morning. What if this happened? And
Uh-huh.
they don't shut up until I write it down. So I I just started writing. I needed an outlet, and it comes out in romance. So I hope everybody enjoys it because this is what I do to relax.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Okay, so the first one was in 2011, which wasn't a romance. It was actually just contemporary fiction. Um,
Uh-huh.
and actually, I think that's the first one I read of yours. I don't remember. There was that one, and then there was another one. I was trying to find it on Amazon. I don't know if you took it down, but it's the one where let's see, I think they hated each other from way back in college. They used to be a couple
Yeah.
or something like that.
That
Um,
was a thin line,
a thin
which I
line.
took down and then rewrote, and I re-released a thin line in 2020. Yeah, that came out April 2020.
Oh, okay. Because when I went to your
Yeah.
Amazon page, you know how it tells you which books you've already bought? It didn't show
Mm,
me that I had bought that one. So I kept thinking, where's that
yeah.
book that I was? Okay, now it makes sense because it's a
Yeah,
different
I it's a different book.
edition or
Yeah.
something.
I
Yeah, gotcha.
unpublished it and then rewrote it, took it apart, put it all back together, with the
Mm-hmm.
help of some really great betas that gave me good advice on, girl, this ain't gonna work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I re-released that in 2020 because I had no intention of reposting that book. Um, but those characters just would not leave me alone, so they
Mm-hmm.
had to come back out.
Okay, interesting. So, what's your writing schedule like? Because I know you work full time, right? So, how do you
Right.
squeeze in the writing in between your day job?
So typically, like on a regular, I'm just gonna write a book. I
Mm-hmm.
don't write during the week. I like my job pays for rent and insurance, etc. So I use all my energy for work, and then I might write like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then try to like edit and like read it over and kind of mull it over and think about what needs to come next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I can edit during the week, but I cannot create original writing during the week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the brain capacity. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like typical writing for me. I might do that for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Just kind of plod along at it on the weekends. Once I hit what I call the point of no return, where this book is coming whether you want it or not, I write every chance I get because now I see the end, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I have like get this thing done like syndrome, and it has to get it out. So um, then I write every chance I get until I'm done, and then I try to put it down and like give myself some perspective and some distance because I be in love with everything I write. Um, so I have to put it down for a second, get some distance, maybe send it to a couple of beta readers so I can't mess with it while they're looking at it. And like, just decompress, read, watch some Netflix, like really zone out, and then go back to it with fresh eyes and then go, oh, that's stupid. That does not work there. Put it there, move this here, cut all of that because it don't matter. And
Mm-hmm.
then, really take my beta comments to heart. Try not to be offended at what they have to say, and just make that book the best it can be.
I thought it was really interesting that you said that you run the risk of loving everything you write if you don't set it
Hmm.
aside because so many authors to me are so hard on themselves. Like, they
Yeah,
are, oh, this is trash, this is terrible, and
right.
imposter syndrome and all that. And I think it's nice when because you do put so much effort into it, right? So,
Yeah, yes.
um, I feel
I
like
mean, not
go
that I
ahead.
don't have imposter syndrome. I just won't write if I know it's going to be trash. I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time because I will end up deleting it. This is dumb. This isn't happening. And so let me find a show to watch on Netflix. I am not ready to write if I sit
Mm-hmm.
down and I'm writing trash. I know what good writing sounds like. I know what I'm capable of. So I'm just not even going to hit the page. So that's just a sign I'm not ready to write that. And I will step back from it. But I have rarely written something and said, yeah, no, this is all terrible. It's got to go.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's actually a good, healthy attitude. I mean, we all strive for excellence. But at the end of the day, once you know that you've done your best, that's it.
hmm
At least that's the way that
hmm
I tend to look at it. I don't generally beat myself up. There's been a few, maybe one or two books where, you always kind of think, oh, I should have written this, or I could have written this sentence a
Yeah,
little different. Those little things, nothing major. But yeah,
always. Yeah.
yeah. Um, okay, so we talked a little bit about your reading and all of that you mentioned. So how many books do you think you read a year, first of all?
Over 100 for sure.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is always 150, and
Okay.
then I generally hit that around October, and then I like to see how much over my goal I can get.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of make it into a game for myself. I think
Mm.
like in 2020 I read over 200 books because it was my coping mechanism.
Oh,
I was
because of the
hiding.
pandemic. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my boss was like, you've got to find something else to do besides look at COVID numbers and watch the news. You're gonna work yourself into an ulcer or a stroke. Find something to do. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna read books. so
Mm-hmm.
I actually in 2020 I released A Thin Line. I released The Guy Next Door in audio wide. And then I wrote and released Neverlist, and I read over 200 books. So I was working, working, working.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so I was hiding.
Now,
But
when
like
it's
uh, typically in a year, I will read over 100, 150 usually is the goal. And it's really since like, I don't know, 2018-ish. I would have to look back. I've been on Goodreads since 2010. I
Mhm.
haven't had an issue hitting that number. I just really, really like reading.
Mhm. Yeah, I know because I follow you and I know you read a lot. You're always listening to audiobooks. So I know that
hmm
that's definitely your jam. Is there
It
anything
is.
else that you like to do, like in your free time to have fun, or any hobbies
I
that you
mean,
have?
books is really it. Like I don't really have hobbies outside of books. Like if it's warm, I
Mhm.
like to go out for a good, walk on the Silver Comet Trail. We have this nice like 13-mile trail that runs across Georgia.
Mhm.
It takes too long for me to get to go there regularly, but if it's a nice day, I like a nice walk. But like I don't do sports. I don't watch a whole lot of TV. I don't play games. I don't have any talents. I mean, outside of eating and reading books.
And
I
writing.
mean,
I know
and
you like to go
writing.
to the beach.
I
You
do
like
love to
to
go to the beach. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of your things
yeah,
because,
yeah,
and the reason that stands out for me is because I also like being near the water. So I know you like the
yeah.
beach
I
and
do love the
lakes
beach.
and everything yeah, related to the
Yeah,
water.
it's so like peaceful for me. And my dad and I were talking about this recently, and he said, I think that you are like me because he loves to fish. They live on a lake, and he'll go out to fish every day, whether he catches fish or not. He is out there, and he's like, the quiet lets me think. And he's a
Hmm.
preacher, so he'll be like writing sermons in his head out there. And I said, you know what? That's the same thing to me. Like, I need to go to the beach and hear the ocean waves in order to hear like dialogue or like, how should this chapter start? I can't decide. Are they fixing a
Hmm.
car? Are they eating dinner? Are they grocery shopping? Like how should this chapter start? And like I feel like I don't get clarity unless I am just in a peaceful place, and something about the beach just lets everything slide away and let go, and it lets me write. And so that's, I wouldn't say I love travel, but I do love a beach, a white sand beach with that blue green water. I'm all over it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, same. And
Mm,
in the chat, Tressa is saying that she loves the beach too. So there's a few of
yes.
us.
Yep.
Um, okay, so are there any other genres other than contemporary fiction and romance that you think you would want to write, considering that you read so much? Because I know you read things like crime fiction and
Yeah.
um, just about everything. So, is there anything else you've considered writing, or is this it
I
for you?
think I mean, of course, literary fiction. I'm not that deep. I'm not really that serious of a person, but I would love to write a beautiful novel. Um, I would love to write a romantic suspense.
Mm.
I just so admire like you and Sharon, that like that's your jam. Like you put your foot all up in it. I just
Thank you.
like I have one that I started, but I'm like I don't know what to do with this. So I really gotta work on it. I need some mentoring. Um,
Hmm.
so romantic suspicion. Where am I going with that? Romantic suspense.
That could be a
Um,
new
I mean,
subgenre.
yeah, I don't know if I could do like a thriller, because I don't think my brain quite goes deep enough into scary things. I'd be like, she left the refrigerator open and everything got warm. Oh, that's very scary. I'm not, I'm just, my brain just doesn't go to like scary, messed up, um, things that are like, oh my goodness. Like when I read a thriller, I want it to be kind of messed up. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I love reading them. I don't think I could write them, but I think I could meld my love of mystery and romance and do a romantic suspense. But again, you got to have the skill for the suspense end of it, and I don't think I have it. So
I don't know. You might surprise yourself. You never know. Never
right,
know until you try, right?
right,
Um, let's see. Karen is in the chat, and she said that you would be an amazing romantic suspense author. So there.
yeah. Hi, Karen.
All right. So now I want to ask you a little bit about your heroines and your heroes.
Okay.
Um, are of the heroines that you've written, do you feel like you identify with any of them? Do any of them have your personality? Because the reason I asked this too is because when I was reading about Esme and Trey, she has this like acerbic wit and this snarkiness,
Mhm.
and I promise you it reminded me of you. And so I was thinking this is DL, but I don't know if she's written with your personality or if there are other characters that you've written that might have your personality or traits, any of your traits in them.
I think there's a little bit of me in all of my heroines. It may not mirror my life experiences, but like I don't
Hmm.
really write meek, sappy, shy women. Um, I am sarcastic. I have a really dry wit and humor about me, and I do my not all of my books are rom-coms, but I do try to make them a little bit funny because people naturally be funny. People don't go through life just not being funny. I mean, some of y'all are just hilarious naturally. So, my heroes and my heroines and even their friends, like they're gonna say funny things. Y'all gonna be funny people. Um, yes, we all have snark, all of them, all of them. But Esme, I'm gonna say Renee from Brunch at Hobbies and Esme are the closest to me that I've probably ever gotten. Esme is not exactly me, but there's a lot of me in her.
Hmm.
This book in particular, it's very special that it's book number 10, because when I started writing, my goal was to have 10 books in print. 10 books available for sale. And I would feel like, okay, I've reached like the first step of authordom. I have a
Well,
backlist of 10
congratulations on
books.
achieving
Thank
your
you.
goal.
Thank you. So Esme's book was number 10, and I dedicated that book to myself because that book was for me. It was not exactly about me, but there was so much of me that is inside Esme, or so much of Esme that was like inside of me. And like I started writing this book years ago and hit a wall and put it down. And I brought it back out in 2020 because I wanted something fun to write. And I feel like the me that was writing this book in 2020 was really looking back at the old me, looking back at previous me, looking back at the me that was really afraid to do things, really afraid to like step out, very generally accomplished. I went to college. I paid off all my debt. I'm, living a good single life over here, but there were so many things I had never done because I was afraid of them. I was definitely afraid of heights. I used to say flying, falling, something, and dying were my four things I was afraid of. And so Esme was kind of my way to exercise those fears and to kind of put it in writing. It's sort of really a way to like work things out with myself. Like writers always say, writing's my therapy. But it kind of was. And then the experiences that Esme went through weren't exactly mine, but the sentiment was the same because I was an older virgin. And the longer that I waited, the easier it became to say no, because you're going to waste my time. And if I'm going to wait this long, I want it to be good. And I just feel like you ain't going to get it. So no. No. And so I wanted like so much of that to be rolled into her, like all of my attitudes about being a late in life virgin, about being a mature virgin, were all the thoughts and ideas that Esme had. But when I was younger, did have the burden of growing up in a religious household. And so when I was younger, I did feel like I had to wait. Good girls don't, etc. All that stuff. But and it took a while to work all of that out. But when I decided I wanted to take that step, I wanted it to mean something to me. And so that was the trip that I wanted to take as my on. And I don't know why I started writing this book. Something just must have popped off in my brain. I was like, let me write a book about a person that's afraid of things. But yeah,
but like you said, it helped
things.
you work out your own, your own fears and your issues, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Theresa wanted to know, have you conquered some of your fears, or have you conquered your fears since
I would
then?
say, yeah, like I had a severe fear of heights. They're still not my favorite. But I don't feel like I'm going to pass out anymore if I'm in a tall building and I look out the window. I'm like, ooh, yeah, we are up high. Okay, that's nice. Let me just step away from this ledge real quick. I don't hyperventilate or anything. I don't like to fly, but I'm no longer afraid to fly. Trying to think of anything else I was really afraid. I feel like the older I get, the less afraid I am of things. And maybe it's like, I was saying something. My dad just turned 70 and he'd be up on the roof, like doing stuff. Like, what are you doing? He's like, I've lived long enough. And I'm like, Dad, get off. What?
Oh my goodness.
What if you fall? He's like, I've been alive 70 years.
I guess that's one way to look at it.
Right. And maybe it's because, I'm about to turn 50, in a bit. Like, I feel like, hey, I mean, I've been alive this long. I managed to keep myself alive this long, so I may as well go for it. Be bold, be brave, be daring. I just, feel like the older I get, the more open I am to new stuff, going to a new place. I went to Mexico by myself for my 45th birthday. Would
All
have
right.
never done that 10 years ago. Would have never done it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good, good. That's great. I mean, it's especially when you grow up in a certain way, and we know that a lot of the things that shape us in life from when we're younger. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
break those chains, especially once that's the way you've lived your life for a while. And so
Yeah.
it's really admirable that you were able to kind of be introspective and um, get past your fears and just, move forward. That's not easy. It's
Yeah.
because I mean,
It's not.
I always think as people get older, they become more set in their ways. So the fact that
Hmm.
you were trying to change and were able to change is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, the
Um,
exact opposite. But I think, when you feel like you have been held back your whole life and you finally discover
mhm.
freedom, then you
Yeah.
really just start to push yourself. But plus I had like more financial freedom. I just like felt these shackles all falling off, and then I really felt safe to explore things that I had been afraid of for so long.
Good for you. Okay, so tell me about your heroes. Do you think that there are any of them that you would actually date? Are you writing heroes that you would date? Like,
Oh,
or
absolutely. Well,
okay.
except for Preston from A Thin Line,
Hmm.
because he is, he got on my nerves. Preston loves him some Angie, and that's good. She can have him, and she should keep him forever because we don't want Preston out in the world. Um, he is not a bad guy, but he is just not a nice person. Um, but like, I always think of my heroes as kind of an amalgamation of my ideal of the perfect guy. He is not the world's most handsome man. He doesn't look like a male model, except Gibson. Gibson is uniquely very, very handsome. He's my favorite. He is my favorite hero. But like, and they're not super sweet, and they're not alpha holes. Again, except for Preston, he is an ass. Um,
Yes, that was mentioned in the chat that he is.
yes, yes. I mean, Preston was just fun to write. I do love Preston, but I would not date him because he's an ass.
Yeah.
So, but they're not in general like um, your tough and rumble, gruff, like growly hero. Like I think you write some growly heroes, like
Hmm.
woman, get over here kind of heroes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you definitely do, and I'd be like, ooh, swarthy, and I don't think my heroes are that, but they're not exactly cinnamon rolls. They have faults and they have flaws, and they say the wrong thing and they do the wrong thing. But my heroes are men that don't play about their women. They don't play
Hmm.
about that woman over here. And if you want to try me, go for it. You will change your mind quickly. So that's like the kind of I feel like that's the kind of hero that I want in my books. Not saying everybody has to write that kind of hero, but I like a man who is flawed, like not destructively flawed, but I don't want him to be perfect. I need him to need a little bit of redemption. I need him to work for something and not just be like, this perfect piece of man candy just sitting in the book, and the woman has to like work super hard to get him to notice her. Nah, he sees her and he wants her and he lets her know
Yeah. And Trey definitely did that because he told her he was going to pursue her. He told her that more than once.
more than
So,
once.
yeah,
It
that was really nice.
was up to
Well,
her.
that's the perfect time now to segue into questions about the book.
All
So
right.
what I'm going to do is ask you to just kind of give us a little summary of the Never List for anyone that's listening later who might not have read it, and just give us a little bit about the plot and the characters.
Okay. So the Never List is about Esme Whitaker. She's a 39-year-old woman who is personally successful. She went back and got her MBA. She bought a house. She is, got a promotion. Everything's going great, but she is a ball of nerves about regular inane things like taking a flight, swimming in the ocean, eating exotic food. Her cousin challenges her to make a list of these things that you're afraid of, that you've never done, because these things you've never done, they're holding you back. So one of the things on Esme's list is to have sex, because she has never, and not really for lack of trying, but like I said, if she's going to wait that long to take that step, she wants it to be worth it. So in order to meet a guy, she's got to date a guy. Her cousin talks her into signing up for a dating website. She ends up getting stood up by a guy, but she does meet a handsome gentleman named Trey, who's kind of rude to her at first. I mean, he was just really rude. And they have a little snip fight, but it turns out later in the story that Trey, who is he's a son of a business owner taking over for his dad, needs Esme because of the magic of fiction. They end up working together. Trey needs Esme to complete this deal that he's trying to close. And Esme or Trey decides to kind of propose this deal. You got this list of things that you need to accomplish. I got a thing I need to do. So for everything I help you accomplish on your list, you talk to this dude that owns this company that I want to buy, and you help me strike this deal. So Trey has seen the list, but he has not seen all the items on the list. Very important that Trey does not know that she is a virgin when he agrees to this deal, which kind of stirs up the tension in the story, etc. But this is kind of how they go. It's a little tete-a-tete between Esme and Trey. Her being able to cross things off of her never list, Trey kind of getting what he wants, and these two getting closer and closer and closer, and growing from semi-enemies, quasi-rivals to friends, and then more than that. So hopefully that helps give people a description of the never list.
Yeah, that's definitely a good summary. And you were talking about Esme and all her accomplishments and things like that. And one of the things someone was saying in the chat is that she's not a shrinking violet. And she's not. She's definitely not. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you about was she's a virgin heroine, but you didn't write her like the typical virgin heroine, because normally when I read a book, the heroine is a little more timid and things like that. Esme was doing everything. So everything but
her cousin, her cousin was like, y'all might as well go and do it, girl.
No, I was just curious to know why you chose to go in that direction, because it is a little bit against type when you read.
It is, and I really purposely wanted it to be against type, because when I was reading virgin heroine books, it was all like the 21-year-old, and she meets the cute football player, and she's so shy and demure, and I don't know anything about sex. And then the second time they do it, she's a porn star. She be knowing everything about sex.
They do it, usually.
Like, right. She's hanging from the chandelier, and she's like, and so I have all this stuff. And like, wait. I thought she was a virgin. And also like, I remember in talking in our writers group about being nervous about this story, because I felt like nobody wants another book about a virgin heroine. They're so tired of virgin heroines, because of the norm and because of this trope of the innocent, shy, demure virgin until the moment of penetration, and then she knows what she's doing. I just wanted Esme to be different. Like, I'm the type of person where I don't want to write the same story twice. I'll start writing a story and be like, I already wrote that. I already wrote that person. I already wrote a hero who's, a nurse. So I'm not going to write another, male nurse hero for at least another 10 books. So I'm not going to write the same thing everybody else is writing just so that I can fit in a trope or fit within a norm. I want my book to be different. And I want people to say, no, 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 but did you read this virgin heroine? Because she is not shy about nothing. And I also used to like to say when I was a modern virgin heroine that I may never have milked a cow, but I know everything about the pasture. Like, not that I don't know what happens. It's not that I don't know my body. It's not that I don't know how to bring pleasure to someone or how to bring pleasure to myself. It is that that's an experience I have not had yet, but I know what be happening while it's happening. I just would like to experience it happening. So I'm not a dummy. Plus, a woman who's 39 and doesn't know anything about sex and has never, brought herself to the brink and then shrunk back to say, you know what? No, I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep this for me. I just felt like it would be unrealistic to me, for a character that has so much me in her to be a woman that didn't know anything, that wasn't like playing around with, things, that wasn't reading salacious material, that wasn't watching pornography, that didn't have a favorite movie that she liked and put herself and her hero in that situation and let her mind run wild. Right. Like 39-year-old women have that on lock, whether they've had sex or not. She's still, she's still like a grown adult person. So yeah, I really think like probably the more Esme learned about sex, the more determined she was that it really, really needed to be good and that it needed to mean something. Because also when I was reading about people having their first time experiences, a lot of women said, it wasn't good for me. I wish I would have waited. It just, we were both immature. He didn't know what he was doing. Nothing happened for me. And I did not want that. I didn't want it for her.
Yeah. And I think, as you talked about the virgin heroine, for everyone that's tired of it, there's probably 2 other people that still love it. So even when I hear people complaining about certain tropes, I don't really, I guess, allow that to deter me from something, because there's so many people that still like those things. And I think that a lot of times what happens is sometimes it's not even that they don't like the trope. They just want to see it a different way. And I feel like the way that you wrote Esme as an older virgin, but a virgin who was not naive, was a nice way to write the same trope in a different way.
Yeah. I really liked how it came out. Yeah, I liked how it came out.
I thought it was really well done too. Okay, so one of the other questions that I wanted to ask you was about your characters. So in the chat, a couple of people have mentioned O'Neill, that he was very funny and stuff like that. And I personally really liked him. I enjoyed his character. He had such a great sense of humor. He felt like he really came alive for me. He felt like, actually, her whole family, really. But O'Neill specifically, it felt like someone I could know in real life. And so my question to you is, was O'Neill or the family members, are those based on any people that you know? Because they just felt so vivid to me.
The family members weren't really based on anybody. They're just like people I wish I knew. Like
that's nice. You did a good job.
Maybe like a conglomeration of like all my cousins and best friends. And I think about the conversations I have with my friends in our group chat, or when we are like hanging out in person, we talk about our men's and whatever. And I just think like they need to have real conversations and not like these, these stilted stiff conversations that you see in like maybe a category romance novel. These people talking for real, like about size
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And listen, you gonna feel like this, and here's what's gonna happen, and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted them to be real. I wanted them to jump off the page. And O'Neill was actually the first iteration of this book. O'Neill was a woman. It was her
Okay.
cousin Nia, but I was like, I just feel like it's kind of cliche for her to live with a woman. How about if she lives with a man? How about if she's living with her cousin?
I
And
loved it. Yeah, I like that you did that.
so I made him a man, and O'Neill got a lot going on.
He's a popular. He's a popular guy.
he's
He's
he's a popular. He's one of them pretty dudes.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I just felt like Esme needed somebody strong in her corner, who is always in her life, who is pushing at her, but also is like a little devil on her shoulder or angel on her shoulder. Like, girl, do you know what you are getting into? Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what you are about to do? Because I feel like she would ignore Nia, but she listened to O'Neill and she listened to her sisters because they were
Mhm.
older.
Now, there's a conversation going on in the chat about
Hmm.
Ken. I
Hmm.
also would be interested in knowing if you're going to write something about Ken and the waitress. But Ken he's half black
Ken
and
is half black.
Japanese.
He's black and Japanese.
Black and
Yeah, I
Japanese.
think.
Okay. Because one of the
Yeah.
things in the chat was that, oh, you write black romance, so there was a
Hmm.
concern that you wouldn't, but he being half black, that would not be an issue for you to
I don't
write
think
him.
so. I think if Ken spoke to me, if a story popped up in my head, maybe a short, um,
Yeah.
I
Like
would
a
consider it a
novella or
good,
something.
yeah. Or if he popped up in a future story that featured
Hmm.
Trey and Esme, I like, to give like a little down the line update. Maybe they pop up in another book. I would not, I wouldn't rule that out. But like Ken, did I even name his waitress girlfriend? I don't know.
No.
She really
No,
just
you
popped up
didn't.
out
You
of
just
nowhere.
mentioned
Just
her, and then she
some,
came from New
yeah,
York to visit him, to spend time
yeah.
with him.
Yeah, so that's really kind of a storyline I didn't really develop because the book was long enough anyway. So, but I didn't feel like I guess I didn't feel like I needed to explore that. He doesn't really talk to me, but I wouldn't rule that
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking about him in this story, but like the other people in the chat, I was thinking, it would be interesting to read more about him because he's this chef and
out.
he's travels all the time. And then seeing how he reacted to Trey falling in love, like, they kind of
Yeah.
like
Yes.
teased each other. But then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like he has someone that he's simping over.
Hmm. Yes.
Right? And so
Yes.
it was just kind of cute. And the fact that he
I
threw her down, I thought, okay, this would be
Yeah.
nice for a
It's
book too.
romantic. Yeah. I
Yeah, it's
liked
very
the
romantic.
idea. I liked the idea of Ken seeing how happy Trey was and what Trey had in Esme and thinking like maybe work isn't all that life is,
Hmm.
cracked up to be. Maybe I need to have like a little personal enjoyment. And so I really kind of tried to bring that about in the story, but also the book was about Trey and Esme, so I didn't want to dedicate a third of it to Ken and his
Hmm.
woman. But if something, pops off for me, I'll, throw it into a story. We'll see.
Hmm. So, my last question for you, because we're almost out of time already. I
Okay.
cannot believe it.
Oh no,
uh,
all day. I could talk
uh,
about it all day.
um, so I told you beforehand that I wanted you to pick a favorite scene, one of your favorite scenes. And so now I'm going to ask you to let us know what one of your favorite scenes is and kind of just set it up for us and then read an excerpt from it.
Okay. So one of my favorite scenes, because I really love this whole book and there were so many scenes I could choose from, but I love this scene in the diner when Trey steals her away from um Miller Consulting and he says, "Let's get out of this room. Let's go talk." It's not the laser tag scene, Karen, but that's a good scene.
I know, I was just
You
reading
know,
that. She said,
I know.
the laser taxi. It's not,
Yeah,
Karen.
like let's get out of this stuffy office and this windowless conference room and let's just go talk. And so I also like this scene because it is like um the entire scene is the nucleus of this book and how they end up coming to this deal for Trey to help Esme satisfy items on her necklace. So you want me to go ahead?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna put it right in front of me here. All right, here we go. I've had everything here. The food's good. What are you in the mood for? She laid the menu down on the table and lowered her hands to her lap. Honestly, I'm wondering why we're ordering breakfast instead of working. Miller is paying for my time. Don't worry about Miller's pennies or your timesheet. If this deal goes through, his bills become my problem, and it's my goal to make this deal go through. A slim woman stopped at our table, a brown apron bearing the restaurant's logo tied around her waist. Did y'all have time to check out the menu? She asked, a southern twang accenting her husky tone. I glanced at Esme. She shook her head. I placed my order for a breakfast skillet with steak, eggs, fried potatoes, and a glass of orange juice. Esme rolled her lips inward, then took a slow look around the homely, country-style restaurant. Tell me why we're here, Trey. I will. First, though, let's talk about that piece of paper that fell out of your bag the other night. She chuckled, but I caught the slight dip of her head and the tensing of her shoulders before she forced them back to natural position. What about it? Is it a list of stuff you want to do, like a bucket list? Bucket lists are morbid. It's a never list, things I've never done. I want to make a huge dent in that list before I turn 40 next month. What's it to you? What's it to you? You're defensive and evasive about it. You're unusually curious about something that isn't your business. True, I acknowledged, but it is important to you. Am I correct? After a beat, Esme nodded. You are correct. So, why do you have a list of things you've never done that you need to do? It's a long story. I love a long story. She sighed, thrusting herself back against the chair and dramatically rolling her eyes. Maybe I don't want to talk about it with a stranger. I've spent more time with you than I spent with my mother this week. We are not strangers. I'll be more succinct. I don't want to talk about this with you. Ah, well, what if I say I'm interested in helping you clear up that list? Esme froze. The temperature between us, which had been rising to a comfortable level, dropped like a rock. You're interested in what? You heard me. Let's knock some items off your list. Esme tried to speak, but her lips flapped. No sound came out. When her eyes rose to mine, they were blazing. I was just starting to like you, so please tell me that this isn't your cute way of offering to screw me, so I'll give in to all of your concessions. Tell me that, Trace, so I don't have to beat you upside the head with my purse. My brain flurried with thoughts, rolling my words back to me, analyzing each syllable. I hadn't said that at all. I was starting to like you too, so okay, that isn't my cute way of offering that. You said you'd like to help me knock some items off my list. Yeah. You think I'm the type of person to ask for sex to get what I want? You saw the list, Trey. I saw 2 lines. You threw your little tantrum and snatched it back before I could see more. What's on that list? None of your business.
Excellent. It was so funny because she thought that he was trying to get in her pants because she thought he had seen the whole list.
Yep.
That was
Then she
amazing.
realizes he didn't see the whole list,
He
and
didn't see it.
now the
Yeah.
ball's in her court.
Excellent. There was one more question actually that popped in, if you don't mind, before we go.
Okay, no
And
problem.
it's from G. She wants to know how you select the names of your characters.
Honestly, they kind of just they come to me fully formed. Like I just wake up one day with like a name, and then I mostly have to like form the story around that person. Like I want to write a story about a person named blah who does a thing, and I kind of have to form the story around them. Trey was originally named Will because I wanted him to be kind of funny and quirky, like Will Smith, like kind of hey girls, what's up, kind of guy. But then Will Smith had that whole entanglement thing going on, and I was like, nope, 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 nope. We're not doing Will. We can't. No. So I changed his name to Trey, and then there's a scene in the book where you find out what Trey's real name is. And
Right.
that like literally came out of nowhere. I don't know where that came from, but I was like, hey, maybe his name's not really Trey.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so some people I rename because it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't roll off the tongue. It also has to be something that sounds good in the heat of passion. So
Mm-hmm.
it can't be like a really unsexy name. So I kind of try stuff on, pick names off of TV, walk past offices and like, oh, I like that name, write it down, that kind of thing. But mostly characters come to me really kind of fully formed, and I have to write a story for them.
Are you a pantser?
Yes,
Okay. I'm listening to you talk and I'm
very
like,
much,
she's
very
a
much,
pantser like me.
very much. Super, super. I
Yeah.
mean, I do try to have like a guide. Otherwise, I will write a 250,000 word novel. I
Mm-hmm.
do. I have had lily pads that this has to happen, then this has to happen, then this has to happen. But the in between spots are I like to discover the story as I go. If I write an outline, I feel like I have written that entire book, and I'm now no longer interested in writing it because I have already
Mm-hmm.
discovered the story. So
Everything.
yeah, very much a
Yeah.
pantser.
Okay. So we are almost at the end of the episode. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about anything you like, such as your sales, any books that you have in the pipeline, anything coming up that you want us to know about.
I don't have anything in the pipeline, but everybody cross your fingers and pray to your deity of choice that I am able to work on my next book. I am trying to write the next book in the Powder Lake series, which is sort of my comfort zone, my soft place. I'm writing like a new character, but there are recurring characters in the book. So that gives me a little bit of comfort. And I'm trying to write that. The goal is to have it out before the end of the year. Please, sweet baby Jesus, before the end of the year, because I haven't released since 2020.
Mm,
I am going to have a sale on my books in July. It'll be a wide sale. I think they'll be like super, super cheap. So if you haven't bought any of my other books, just hold on until July, because they'll be on like a 30 to 50% off sale. I like to keep my books relatively inexpensive anyway, but if you want them dirt cheap, wait for the sale in July. So that's what I got going on.
okay. When you have the sale, would you let me know so that I can share it
Yeah,
in the lounge so everyone can take advantage of
absolutely.
that? Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Um, and how can readers find you online? Like, what's your website address? What are your social media handles?
My website is booksbydlwhite.com. I am author DL White just about everywhere. It's author underscore DL White on Twitter and Instagram, author DL White on TikTok, author DL White on Pinterest. I don't do a whole lot on Pinterest, but I do have like, like a board for each of my books, which is like my inspiration. If you want to get an idea of what I'm thinking of for each character, I do try to put it up in Pinterest. And then where else? Where else? And DL White on Facebook. Now I have an account DL White, and then I have an author page. If you're just looking for like announcements and like things I found funny, that's author DL White on Facebook.
Okay, great. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you to everyone who was listening. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Extra big thank you to you, DL, for participating and accepting my invitation. Everyone make
Of course.
Thank you so much. Everyone make sure that you grab a copy of the Never List. and check out other books. Like she said, she's going to have a sale, so go ahead and start checking them out so that you'll be able to one click once she sends me the information on the sale.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it for us this evening. Until next time, laugh often, love hard, and read a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye.